This meeting of the Littleton Licensing Authority will come to order. City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Authority Member Bradish.
Here.
Authority Member Gunya.
Present.
Authority Member Odell.
Here.
Authority Member Cole.
Here.
Authority Member Mather.
Here.
Authority Member Gallagher.
Here. Next item of business is the approval of this agenda. Has everyone had a chance to look at the agenda? Have a motion to approve the
I'll move that
agenda.
we approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, approval of business of our regular February 13th meeting. I have one item to correct on page 15. The last line of item 11 says motion carried 5-1, but there were no votes. There were 5 for and 0 against.
I'll make that correction, Chairman.
There were two instances, page 3, there's reference to a motion, which I believe passed unanimously, but there's no.
Okay.
It was a motion for Miko Sina to be processed administratively. And then on page 5, same thing. I believe, again, I think it passed unanimously, but it just doesn't say what the resolution of the motion was.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We might note, too, that the dates on all of the pages say December 12th.
I've already corrected that, Ann,
Oh, well, okay.
but thank you.
You're welcome.
Ed, I'd like to also make a amendment to the minutes next to last page. If you take the last page at the very top in regard to Authority Member Cole's remarks and show other signs of, I would recommend visible intoxication, as visible is the standard by which both the city code and statute gauge that, and as well on the page right before that, under motion carried 5-0, the second line, lack of proof that Mr. Fee exhibited any signs of, and I would add visible intoxication there as well.
Thank you.
I'll move that we approve the minutes as amended.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, the next item of business would be item number 8A. NT Incorporated doing business as NT, 2440 West Main Street. This is a new application. Good evening.
Good evening.
Before we begin, I'd just like to ask the authority to enter into the record Exhibits A through G.
I'll move that we enter Exhibits A through G.
Second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Just state your name, please.
Carol Alvarez.
You're here to make a case for your liquor license. You may proceed.
Well, NT is a small tea importer. We've been open in Jefferson County for 5 years. We import and sell loose leaf tea, teaware, teapots. We do classes, we do tastings. We also serve pastries and sandwiches and salads for people who want to stay and have a pot of tea in the shop. We have had our liquor license in Jefferson County for 5 years. We specialize in unique tea-infused cocktails. So we make our own green tea vodka, black tea vodka. We incorporate those into some specialty drinks. And It's right now about 3% of our gross revenue is our cocktail, beer, and wine service. So it's just kind of a small, unique part of our business, and we would like to incorporate that into our new store that's opening on Main Street.
You infuse the tea into the alcohol, you don't distill the alcohol, correct?
Right.
Okay.
So the only alcohol that you'll serve is your teas with the vodka?
Well, we
Not
do
gonna serve
carry,
beer
we
or-
carry 5 different beers,
Okay.
3 white wines, 3 red wines, but most of our liquor traffic is these little tea cocktails.
What will your hours of operation be?
Monday through Thursday from 8 to 7, Friday and Saturday till 11, and Sunday from 11 to 5.
How big is your shop?
I
many square
believe
feet?
It's about 1,800 square feet.
How long do you plan on staying open on a daily basis? What are your hours of operation?
From 8 to 7, Monday through Thursday. Friday and Saturday will be open till 11 p.m.
Okay.
And Sunday, we have shorter hours from 11 to 5.
Can you tell us a little bit about what, so we have a floor plan here. Where will you keep the alcohol when you're,
Well, if you do have a floor plan, if you see that front service bar area in the front of the shop, the alcohol component of that will be the end closest to the main entrance. And it's about a separate 5-foot section.
It looks like just a small liquor cabinet. Will it hold all the liquor you need for it to hold so that you can lock it up at night when you leave?
Yeah. We just, like I said, we just carry a few beers that we will have in a separate beverage fridge, and then we lock up our wine and our mixers at night.
This, the doorway on the bottom of the floor plan, that is on to Main Street.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you walk into the bar,
Right, so the bar is the first service of beverage on the left-hand side, and then we have a huge wall of teas that go from about 4 feet all the way up to 14 feet in a rolling library ladder that we climb up and access all the drawers of tea.
Will you be storing any of the liquor in the back room, or will it all be up front?
You know what, sometimes we do store some backstock of beer in the back, but mostly everything else is up in front. Everything else is up in front, but most of the beer is up front. We do store some beer in the
And where
back.
do you plan on keeping that?
You know, we keep it now, I guess I call it the back, but it is under the front counter in a commercial fridge.
you currently have the same model store in Jefferson County?
Right.
What kind of training do you provide, or what are your policies on IDing people who ask for drinks, and what are you?
You know what,
your
we just
training?
ID everybody because we've discovered that I'm just bad with guessing people's ages. So we train our staff just to card everybody who orders a cocktail or a beer or wine. Like I said, it's only about 3% of our revenue, so it's not a huge part of our business. So we just card everybody. My staff is tips trained, I'm tips trained. That's what we do.
How many people are on your staff?
Right now, we have 9, and I think with our later hours, I'll probably be hiring 2 more, so 11.
and everybody has the opportunity to serve liquor, everybody on your staff, is that correct?
Well, we have on every shift 1 person over 21, but you have to be 18 to work for me, just so that we're more versatile. So-
So I don't see any tables in the floor plan. Obviously, there are tables.
You're right.
Will people have to go to the bar to get their drink? or
Yes.
Okay, so you're
Yeah.
not going to bring drinks to the
No,
table?
we're more like a Starbucks concept where it's counter service and people come to the counter.
Will you keep your facility in Jefferson County open also?
No, unfortunately, we're going to close that one and concentrate our efforts in Littleton.
On your application, when you made note that you have financial interests in other liquor license establishment in the state, were you talking about the Jefferson County one?
Yes,
So once you close that, you will have no other financial interest in the state?
correct.
Thank you.
Are you already open in this location?
No, we're not yet.
Okay. When do you plan to open?
April 4th. How's that for firm? Speculation.
Should we hear about the petition? Did you have anything else before, or would you all like to present your petition?
No.
Hello again.
How are you doing tonight? Do you need me to review our procedures, or
Need you state your name, please?
Carol Johnson with Esquire Petitioning Services? We did a total of 562 door knocks, of which 197 signed the petition, 33 declined, 22 were ineligible, and 321 did not respond to our door knock. Of that, we had 152 residents and 42 business owners or managers, for 194 in support. We had 2 residents in opposition and 1 resident signing no opinion for the total of the 197. The reasons stated for signing in opposition, the 2 both felt that there were a sufficient number of outlets. So on a needs and analysis basis only, there are 194 in support for 99%, and 2 in opposition for 1%, for a total of 196 for 100%. I'll answer any questions.
I don't understand how you come up with 100%. Just because they oppose it. I mean, if they abhor liquor, you can discount them, but
Yes, yes.
is that what the reason
Yes,
that they
this-
signed no?
Right. No, the 2, there are 2 that are counted in the opposition.
So it's not 100%?
No, there's 194 for 99%, and 2 for 1% is 100%.
You just,
Oh,
you
okay.
accounted for all the votes with that 100%.
Okay, so you got
of the vote.
99% in favor?
Favor and-
Okay,
Yes.
pardon me,
The 1 no opinion is deleted from the final numbers.
right.
Any other questions?
So 77.2% of residents that you called on
Correct.
signed one way or the other, and 42% of business owners signed either yes or no. 21.3%. Okay. I had a little trouble understanding those numbers when I first read this.
Okay. Well, I'd be glad to clarify anything you have any questions about. We haven't changed our procedures, so, and we had good results with the percentage of people that we did find home to sign. I think we've gone over that a few other times, that on an average, we contract for 500 minimum door knocks, and just through our years of experience, expect to find approximately 1/4 of those home to sign. So we aim at a minimum of 125 residential signatures, plus the business signatures. So as you can see, we overdid ourselves with having residents available the days that we did this.
Tell me why, having 197 people signed, you feel that that's representative of the,
Well, like I say, normally out of approximately 500 residential door knocks, we normally, account for approximately 1/4 of those home to sign. This, we did a little over 500, 562, but it was one of those days that there were quite a few people at home to sign. So that's why we got a higher percentage of the door knocks than we normally do.
What day did you do this? I'm sorry.
Why do you only normally do 500?
That's just
Could you
what we
speak
normally contract.
more into the microphone to
Oh,
make
I'm
sure?
sorry.
That's okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. We did the petitions, I normally write that right on the top, but on February 17th, which I believe was a Saturday. We primarily work on Saturdays and Sundays, only now that the time has changed, and as busy as we are, we will be doing some of our petitioning from roughly 3:30 to 7 as well, because we,
But you
Don't
have
have-
not explained to me why you picked 500. Why wouldn't I?
that's just, we've done that for almost 20 years. That's what our contracts are with our customers.
Why isn't
unless-
600 better?
It doesn't really change the percentage of results. The only time we do anything higher than, our minimum contract of 500 is if have a rare occasion that there may possibly be some opposition. And occasionally, we have a business owner that contracts for an additional, that's usually liquor stores that have some possibilities of opposition because maybe there's something else too close, something of that sort. But like I say, Esquires itself has been in business over 20 years, and that's just basically what has always worked with all the jurisdictions we work in, except one, and then they have, one of our jurisdictions has completely different guidelines than any other jurisdiction we work in. They actually tell us how many signatures we need as a percentage of each subdivision's residents. Normally, we start at the location and radiate out in all four quadrants if there are residents and businesses in all four quadrants, because the people that are the closest to the location are the most widely affected and have the most interest. The further away we get, the less, that's where we get the no interest and things, is the farther away we get, people really don't care. It's a nice thing, and lately we've been having almost all of them have been close to 100%, other than liquor stores, because people like the concept of the growing economy and new places to go to now that, it offers more places both to go and spend their money and have a beverage. Anything else?
So no matter what the population density is, you always do 500.
Unless there's not 500 there. We've done several recently that didn't have that, and then we did everything that was available. Just did one out on Tower Road that there were 3 businesses. That was the total, and that was in a mile radius. But the houses are proposed, and the businesses getting a head start out there. And we've done several recently that we hit numbers of maybe 392, 396, that sort of thing, because that was all the houses that were in the mile radius. That is what the normal, Commerce City, for example, only does a 2,500-foot radius. And, most of them are a mile radius, but we have some jurisdictions that do things a little differently, and we have to abide by that. But probably 95% of our petitions are 500 minimum door knocks. If we don't get the 125 minimum signatures with 500, then we keep working. And sometimes we just end up with a lot more because we have 4 or 5 people.
So basically, it's
Okay.
like an industry standard.
Yeah, pretty much. Anything else?
Who's Carol Johnson?
That's me.
Okay, that explains my puzzlement over these affidavits where sometimes you were the notary and one time you were the circulator, and I thought,
Yeah, I can't notarize
who
my
is this
own.
person?
I can't notarize my own, so I notarize for the team that we work together on weekends, and then when I do the businesses and my residential petitions, I have notarized at the bank right across the street from me.
That's perfectly all right, I was just
No,
curious.
that's not a problem.
I don't have any questions on the actual petitions. I scanned through them. It appears that everybody is in the city, and
No.
by the ages, everybody's over 21, some of them quite a ways over 21.
No, the only time we ever get anyone that's out of the city is if someone happens to be at another door, at a house, and they don't identify that they aren't the resident there, or occasionally we get people that are out walking their dogs or something, and they might, but we don't really want to waste our time going out of the boundaries to actually knock on doors.
We might be sounding like we're really critical of your process, but I have another question.
Okay.
You don't have people type or print their name, you just have them sign, and is there a reason why you don't have a place for them to print their name so that an observer would actually know who that was?
Different cities request us to have different forms. That's the form that we've used in your town.
Okay.
Wow. Some we have only signatures, some we have print and sign. It just depends on what we've been asked to use in the past. And some of the cities only have you sign if you're in favor of it. Some cities only have a yes and no. And some
Bill?
have a yes, no, and neutral.
If
Some-
you look at this, there's no place to print their names on.
Well,
this
I know
new
that,
form.
and that's why I'm wondering why the forum didn't have a place. Not that it's necessary, it just
Just the form that
was,
apparently we've been using for, I don't know how it got started. I've been with the company for 7 years. But
yeah, for the businesses, you have a place for the name of the businesses and the address, but you don't have a name for the individuals that signed it.
if there's something that we want to agree on, we have about 6 or 7 different blank forms.
This is a petition that you bring to us every time someone hires you, isn't it? The same one?
Yes, for your city. And like I say, that's up for change. We're flexible if you want to make change to that. You just need.
It's just that the city's looking at the petition process, and I think that maybe for your information, you can put a place where they can print their name.
Yeah, the form
And
we
that question
normally-
won't be around in the future.
form that we normally use for that is an 8.5 by 10 form. I don't believe I have one. I didn't bring it.
That's all right.
It's an 8.5 by 10 form. It has 12 signature sections on each page, and it has a print and sign, the first column, and then the second is that. Now, that form only has a yes and no. There's no neutral choice.
Yeah.
And that, very few of the cities ask us for that anymore, because in the
Really?
end, it's thrown out anyways. The main thing is it gives people the satisfaction that they've had a chance to vote if they don't, have a way to make up their mind one way or the other.
All right.
So just let us know if you want to make any changes.
I
Have to do
don't
it tonight,
expect we'll
just
be
the-
doing
the
that.
next
I was,
time we have one, we can check with Colleen and see if there's been any. I can,
Yeah, that'd be great.
So this petition's good, right?
it looks good to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
No.
Thank you.
Did anyone else sign up
Thank you.
Did anyone else sign
No,
up to speak?
there are no other people signed up to speak.
The city council have any comments?
City council what? City attorney have any comments?
I don't have anything to add. If you're satisfied.
Any discussion among the authority members?
It looks to me like the adult inhabitants are in favor. So I'm going to make a motion. I make a motion that the public hearing be closed and a resolution of the Littleton Licensing Authority be approved, which grants NT Inc., doing business as NT, 2440 West Main Street, Littleton, Colorado, a tavern liquor license contingent upon receipt and approval of reports from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation and approval by the Colorado Liquor Enforcement Division, and based upon the following findings of fact. 1, that notice of the hearing was properly posted and published. 2, that the applicant has possession of the premise and the premise are suitable for the requested license. 3, that the needs of the neighborhood are not now being met. 4, that it is the desire of the adult inhabitants of the neighborhood that the license be issued. 5, that existing similar liquor licenses in the designated neighborhood are not adequate, and 6, that the applicant and registered manager are persons of good moral character, record, and reputation.
I'll second the motion. City Clerk, would you poll the authority, please?
Authority Member Bradish?
Yes.
Authority Member Gunya?
Yes.
Authority Member Odell?
Yes.
Authority Member Cole?
Yes.
Authority Member Mather?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Congratulations. Good luck with your business. Next item of business, item number 10, S. Fahani Incorporated, doing business as Alibis Bar and Grill, 7983 South Broadway.
I would ask that the authority accept into the record Exhibits A through C.
What, just to be clear, what is C, the,
It is a copy of the proposed stipulation, which
which is updated? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
You have the updated one, yes.
All right, I'll move we accept Exhibits A through C.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion is carried. Prosecutor?
Essentially, what we're presenting in the stipulation agreement in order tonight is that there is a stipulation to the facts that the licensee on January 12, 2013, at approximately 10:20 p.m., permitted the loitering of an intoxicated person upon the licensed premises, which resulted in unlawful or disorderly act or conduct upon licensee's premises. These facts would constitute a violation of 3211A2, conduct in establishments, and a violation of Regulation 47-900, conduct in establishments. Based upon this stipulation to the facts, the city would agree to dismiss the other 2 charges, which are 3210-5, sale to intoxicated persons, and 1247-901. As far as the sentencing stipulation, the licensee and the city have agreed to a 5-day suspension with 2 days of actual suspension and 3 held in abeyance for a 1-year period. The city and licensee has agreed that a fine in lieu of the 2 days of actual suspension would be appropriate since there have not been any prior violations within the last 2 years. Based upon everything that we reviewed, the aggravation and the mitigation, we believe this is a fair stipulation, and we would ask the authority to accept it.
Why wouldn't we address the sale of intoxicated persons? Why is that removed?
It was part of the agreement, essentially, the negotiation.
But the bartender did get a citation for that, is that correct?
That is correct.
It was part of the negotiation. You give, we give.
Actually not.
I think it says Officer Carlson gave her a citation.
Yes.
From the licensee perspective, have you all made any changes to procedures that would prevent this sort of situation from happening in the future?
One of the things at the bar, Benjamin Courier with Miller and Steyert, one of the things that the bar and the owners have continued to do is they've had everyone attend a tips class just recently. They have another tips class scheduled coming up here in a week or so, is when the class is. Additionally, it's reinforcement and re-encouragement in order to make sure that they're maintaining watch of the bar, whether that be for intoxicated individuals, also for individuals who may be not appropriate to continue to stay. Maybe they're loitering, maybe they're potentially causing disturbance. The bar has been around for a pretty considerable period of time. All of the employees are older employees. The particular bartender that was on that night has actually left and gone to another bar to bartender manage over there. What I can say is that just re-educating is where we're going, and reinforcing all of the rules, reinforcing really strict watch of the bars is really where they put the most of their focus. It's hard to have other procedures other than that, whereas as much as Mr. Estefani would like to be at the bar 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, he can't, and is really trying to do everything he can to have people in place that are trustworthy or dependent, are continuing to act in the bar's best interest and the city's best interest.
How many employees do you usually have in the bar at one time?
Depend on what night it is. We have 2 people in the kitchen and 2 people in front of the bar, so total of 4. Sometimes it is 1 more or 1 less.
So on this night, was there, how many people?
But that time that happened was the total of 3 of them. And the kitchen was at that time closed because we close at 10 o'clock at night.
Okay, so they were all working out front? Yes. Okay. And then Gonzalez, the bartender's no
Was
longer
the
there?
head bartender. She was actually in charge that night. And we had 2 other people that they were helping to serve, as we call them back bar, like collecting the glasses and washing the glasses and doing other stuff. So she was in charge of serving alcohol.
But she's no longer there?
No, she quit, unfortunately.
Okay.
So you have taken a look at adequate staffing, because obviously during different days and different times, you have a larger number of people there.
Yes.
And interaction there. You have taken a look at the issue of having adequate staffing to be able to observe and be able to be in control of the situation within the establishment.
Yes, we have been having a few different meetings, discussing all the problem and what we can do to make it better. We have been adding a couple extra people to our staff so we can have more people available to help for anything, for observing the situation, for helping, whatever that we need to do. We have been doing all those, yes.
All right, thank you.
Who called the police over this incident, and when did they call? I mean, at what point in the disturbances were the police called?
The bartender, Ms. Gonzalez, said when that happened, she went to try to separate the people or calm them down and everything. At the same time that she was doing that, she looked at the people and said, please call the police. So we are not sure exactly who called the police. But like 2 or 3 minutes later, when she got behind the bar, she called the police herself too, to make sure they have been called.
It is, I assume, your policy to call the police
Always
anytime there's any kind of disturbance?
Always has been, sir.
Have there been many disturbances where you've called the police?
Fortunately, we haven't had that.
Okay.
That's my biggest concern. It says that there was a few people having issues, and I thought I could keep it under control. And I know it's a fine line, but at what point in time do you make a decision, hey, I need to call the police?
Our policy is really to call the police right away.
It's the safest way to do
I don't know
it.
why she was trying to calm him down herself and trying to control him herself. I really cannot answer the question, but our policy is if something happened, call the police and try to.
Trying to get in the middle of a fight and break it up is not one of the things I would recommend.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Just to give some perspective for the council, it was a football Sunday. So the issues are not quote-unquote normal people sitting around having disputes. It's more fans talking to each other, those kinds of things. So the line of, do I call the police now versus later, is tough to distinguish in that particular type of a situation. Just to give you kind of idea of what the bar may be having at that time. So it's not a group of people sitting around having a conversation and all of a sudden a dispute arises. Sports fans and those kinds of things is really where we were. And those are some of the policies that the bar is really making sure that they look at a little bit closer, that maybe they do call earlier than they would normally.
If I banned football, I wouldn't have a problem.
No, not necessarily, but disputes may arise more with confrontational teams is more the idea.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but my impression is that your establishment is more on the line of a neighborhood bar and grill where typically people who are in there know one another, are familiar not only with one another but the staff. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
A procedural question. The stipulation leaves open the dates. If we were to accept the stipulation, and I can't remember what we did last, do we need to accept the stipulation first and then agree to dates, or do we need to have the dates in there when we accept the stipulation?
I prefer or advise that you go ahead and set the dates first and then approve the stipulation with those dates included.
Okay, just to move things along, I'm inclined to accept the stipulation if the rest of the authority is similarly inclined or at least open to that. Would you all like to talk about?
I support accepting stipulation. I believe this happened on a Saturday, and I would like the date set to include a Saturday.
Is it a Saturday or Sunday?
The last game was on Saturday, it was last Bronco game.
Bronco game.
Does the city have a recommendation for a date?
I would agree that one of the dates needs to be a Saturday. As to the other date, I think that's up to the board's discretion.
Is there a period of time that the city needs in order to, in other words, you wouldn't want to do it next week?
I'd prefer that it be set at least 30 days out, so we have time for notification and those kinds of things.
Does the licensee have, would you all like the chance to recommend what you would?
Just one thing that the authority should keep in mind is that next weekend is St. Patrick's Day.
That's within 30 days.
Yeah.
I propose we set the date for the 27th of April for a start date, which is a Saturday.
A Saturday.
Saturday and Sunday?
Are you all open on Sunday?
Yes, we
What we try to do is, you're going to do a calculation on your volume, and we think it's only fair that one of the days is equivalent to the day where the offense happened. It would be almost the same as if we suspended you. We would want to suspend you for a day that was equivalent for that. So if you don't have a problem with April 27th and 28th, we'll put that in.
Is that cute? Okay.
Want to make a motion?
Yeah, so April 27th and 28th, I would make a motion that we approve the stipulation with the period of proposed suspension for purposes of calculating the fine in lieu of suspension shall be April 27th to April 28th, 2013.
I'll second that.
That's to include April 28th.
Correct, April 27th and April 28th.
City Clerk, would you poll the authority, please?
Authority Member Bradish?
Yes.
Authority Member Gunya?
Yes.
Authority Member Odell?
Yes.
Authority Member Cole?
Yes.
Authority Member Mather?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Sir, I would remind you that there are 3 days of this suspension that are held in abeyance. If there's another offense in a year, you will serve those 3 days plus whatever is added on for the next offense. So be very, very careful.
Good luck, and we hope never to see you again here.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item of business under medical marijuana license cases, item number 12, INS LLC doing business as Canamart, 1086 West Littleton Boulevard. This is a new application.
Good evening, pardon me.
Before we get
The
started,
city
I'd
attorney
like to...
wants to
Yeah.
propose that,
Just some procedural matters. If you could, if I could get a motion to admit Exhibits A through F into the record?
I'll move we enter Exhibits A through F into the record.
I second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 No opposed, motion is carried. For the record, we do have a speakers list that you'll be calling 4 people.
That's correct.
All right.
Good evening, honorable members of the Littleton Licensing Authority. My name is Bob Hoban. I am the attorney for Canamart for INS LLC. Stan Zizlis and Igor Kamener are to my left. They are the owners and principals of INS LLC. You have in front of you is a letter from a woman named Kathleen Glassman. That's one of the new exhibits that came in. She could not be here tonight, so I figured I'd just highlight that, bring that to your attention. Ultimately, it's my understanding with Ms.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Her address is listed as 6389 West Fair Drive. That is not within the city of Littleton.
That's what I was informed,
Okay.
sir. That's what I was told. I did not look it up on the website or on the zoning map, so, but that's what I was told. Ms. Glassman, for what it's worth, happens to be the landlord for these gentlemen's cultivation facility located in the city of Denver. She claimed to us to at least be a resident of the
She
city.
has a Littleton mailing address, but she's not within the city of Littleton.
Good distinction, and that should be duly noted, so I appreciate that, Mr. Gallagher. Thank you. Gentlemen, and Ms. Mather, ultimately, you have a complete file in front of you, we believe, and we're here certainly to field any questions you might have tonight. These gentlemen would be, and as would I. I do have one request. There's a gentleman named Neil Hirsch who's on the sign-up list. He does have to be out of here by 8 o'clock, and I wondered if you'd take his testimony first out of order, but that's entirely up to you. I would defer to your decision on that one.
You can call your witnesses in any order you like.
Okay, thank you, sir. I would ask that Neil Hirsch come up and make his comments so he can be out the door, and then we can field questions and proceed as you'd like. Thank you.
That's fine.
I apologize. I do have a commitment at 8 o'clock, so I apologize for sort of having this go out of order. My name is Neil Hirsch. I live at 5160 South Grant Street in Littleton. I am a insurance agent in this area, and I am a patient at Canamart. I've been a patient there for about 2 years now, and I've found it to be a very safe place to purchase medicine. I've found the staff there to be extremely knowledgeable, as well as the owners, and I've always found it to be a very comfortable environment, and I think it's a great place for this town to have. I guess that's all I had to say.
Appreciate you coming in. Have you ever had any problem, any issues at all with the establishment?
Any problems with the establishment? Absolutely not. I've had wonderful experiences in the establishment.
The establishment has been in a different location when you were a patient than this location, isn't that true?
You know, I've always gone to it at this location. Maybe I'm confused on Arapahoe Street.
No, this is the new one on Littleton Boulevard, or the proposed.
Perhaps I could clear up some confusion. Yes, if that's okay. Mr. Hirsch does go to the current location, which is 72 Arapahoe Road. The new location, and you may or may not be aware of this, is not yet opened. That's why we're here for this application process this evening. So I believe Mr. Hirsch is referring to the current location, 72 Arapahoe Road.
Okay.
So I apologize. When I was speaking about going to the establishment, that is where I go.
We understand. Thank you.
You said that they were knowledgeable.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me in what regard, or why you say they are knowledgeable?
Well, I have two issues. One of my issues is my lower back. The other issue is my inability to fall asleep. And when I've consulted the professional behind the counter about those two instances, the recommendations that they've made have helped me with those issues. I take Ambien, or I used to take Ambien pretty regularly, and it's been nice to not have to take Ambien.
So you're using two different strains, you're saying
I don't smoke, actually. I only take edibles. So their suggestions were quite helpful for both of those instances.
All right, thank you.
And you felt like the security of the installation and their procedures made you feel safe?
I felt very safe in there, sir.
Okay.
Very safe. Not that Littleton is a place where you necessarily have to worry about, somebody pickpocketing you, but I felt that the security as well as the staff there provided me a safe environment to purchase medicine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, if you have any questions, obviously, jump in anytime. We can just move forward through these witnesses, and you can ask them questions, and we can round it up if that's sufficient with you all. I'd call Mr. Seth Elkin, who is the landlord of the current location, 72 East Arapahoe Road. Seth?
Hello.
Hello.
Excuse me. My name is Seth Elkin. I'm the VP of Operations at Elko Properties, who is the owner of the commercial center currently located at 72 Arapahoe Road. INS LLC has been our tenant for going on 4 years now. And in that time, we've become pretty fond of them. We've developed a relationship. And in that time, we've never had any issues with late rent. We've had, there's 3 other businesses within this center that neighbor with them. We've never had any complaints from them regarding the business or people hanging out in front. They also, when they moved into the space, they took it upon themselves to put in their own money and their own efforts into building out the space and turning to a more attractive space. They've done that also with the parking lots and kind of their street presence there. They keep the parking lots extremely clean. If there's ever any lights out in the parking lot, they're the first ones to call. So it stayed a safe environment, and they've worked hard at doing that, and they've done a great job with it. So we, have nothing but good things to say about, and we're going to miss them as tenants.
Why are they leaving?
Well, they're not, but as far as their new location, they're trying to get a new location. Currently, they're with us, so.
It's not a rezoning or anything?
No,
Okay.
no, it's not rezoning.
Just to clarify, and this is a question for you so much, is, you all are currently open at the Arapahoe Road location, and you're in litigation with the city over the operations of that facility, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, and so you all have now come forward to open under, there's an opening among the 4, and so you're coming to apply for that, is that correct?
That's correct. Ultimately, the current location is open. In September, we were contacted by a proposal from the city's attorneys that perhaps this would be an opportunity to resolve the litigation, and we're pursuing that aggressively. So Mr. Elkin is here to talk about the current location. You'll hear next from the landlord of the proposed new location, which has not yet been built out. There is a lease in place with sort of a holding pattern, if you will, pending potential licensure, in which we'll build out the new facility depending on what the licensing authority decides.
Well, let me make sure I understand.
Yes,
Is
sir.
the intent to operate 1 or 2 facilities?
One facility, sir. So ultimately, the idea would be, assuming, of course, and I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but if we were to be approved for this slot, this 4th slot in the city of Littleton, we would build out the new facility. Once the new facility was finished being built out from tenant improvements, and the Littleton approval, again, assuming we get one, goes to the state, and the state MMED approves the application, then we would have dual approval at both the state and the local level, at which point we would have the new facility built out, we would open there, and the same day close the old facility. The med would come out, inspect, and ensure that the facility has been, eradicated of all medicine, product, et cetera, and that would open at the new facility. So in a sense, one door would close, the other door would open. That's ultimately the idea.
If it's approved. If it is approved, what happens?
If it's not approved, the litigation, I presume, would remain pending.
And you would keep the Arapahoe Road office open?
Assuming that there was no other way to work out the situation, which is certainly our intention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So from the old location, and I think you've got some context there, to the new, you have Miss Hannah Richards, who is the owner and landlord at the new proposed location. Hannah, if you could come down and please address the authority.
Good evening, honorable members of this authority. My name is Hannah. Actually, I have one name. It's just Hannah. So I am the current owner of the 1086 West Littleton Boulevard location. They've contacted me to see if this facility is available for lease. We have done some research and have found out that they're very good tenants. They've got a very good background. Their facility, we did check it out, and it appears to be in excellent condition. I'm very concerned because I've put an awful lot of effort into this building, the venue that I've had for approximately eight and a half years now. A lot of work has gone into it, a lot of hard work. So you can understand that I would be very concerned. However, upon all the research, I'm quieted, and I feel very confident that they would be very good tenants. So if there's any questions that I could answer, I'm here to.
I do have one question. There's under city code, the floor plan for a medical marijuana dispensary is not to exceed 2,000 feet. And I believe it's their application says approximately, the lease says 2,000. Can you confirm what the square footage of the floor plan is?
Currently, the floor plan is, the building was originally allotted for 4 separate spaces of 1,100 square feet each. Right now, there are 2 spaces, one of 1,100 and the other would be about 3,300. The tenants have agreed to complete the finishing so that there would be another space of 1,100 square feet, and then they would build out about another 2,000 square foot. So it is actually, it has been in the past 4 separate spaces.
So you're saying the unit they'll occupy is going to be divided in a way so that it's 2,000 square feet?
Correct.
Okay.
And they've taken on the burden because they know that, this is a huge undertaking. So they've basically agreed to take on the burden of building out, doing the tenant finishing, completing all of it, and staying within the parameters of what is allowed for the medical side of things with this medicine facility.
As I understand it, you are the proprietor and the operator of the business in the other half of this building?
I've had 3/4 of the building, and then the other third is the photography studio, in which my husband has been occupying for approximately 5 years now. So yes, I currently own the facility entirely.
So what businesses will be staying here? The photography
As of right now, the
studio?
photography studio for a period of maybe about 4 months longer. It's been an Aveda hair salon, and I've also specialized in the cranial prosthetic side, which is the chronic hair loss side, because I've worked with lots of cancer patients. So, and that's probably one of the other reasons why I'm looking at this as an opportunity, because of all the cancer patients for 30-plus years that I've helped. It's a little tricky, but they're in need of other ways to alleviate a lot of the issues. I have a lot of multiple sclerosis patients that come in, a lot of people with extreme neuropathy, nerve issues in their hands and their feet. Fibromyalgia is another big chronic illness that a lot of people are afflicted with. So having these folks come and see me frequently for many decades, I know that this type of consumption of some of these products have alleviated a lot of their chronic issues. So I tend to be a little bit more open-minded about the usage. I currently have been using in the edible side of things myself because I'm a breast cancer survivor, and there's been a lot of aftermath. So insomnia has been one of the real big ones, and lots of pinched nerve issues, things like that. So it's alleviated and helped calm some of those issues. So right before sleep is something that I've been partaking of for maybe about 2 years now. So it's helped a lot.
So there's a symmetry between your business and their business being located close together, and that sounds like a plus to me.
I believe it's a plus, sir.
So you'll be closing your shop?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm not closing the shop, I'm relocating.
Relocating.
I have relocated.
Just as an aside, I read the lease that you've signed, and on the signature page of the lease, it's page 7. It's not signed by the landlord, it's signed twice by the tenant. Has that been corrected? Is this a copy of the actual lease, or is there a corrected copy?
Here's something I think this is important to understand. So there's 2 leases ultimately. The entire premises is approximately 4,400 square feet. These gentlemen, through another LLC, will be leasing the entire premises. Then they're subleasing it to themselves for 2,000 square
correct.
feet or less.
Okay.
So it is indeed correct.
Thank you.
And that goes to your point, sir. There's no way that this would be built out more than 2,000 square feet. It's not permitted and certainly doesn't make economic sense to do so.
Okay.
Thank you. You guys.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me speak.
Could I ask the city, is it an arrangement where the individuals who will hold the license subleasing to themselves, is that an acceptable?
The requirement of the code is that you receive notarized affidavit from the owner that they understand what's going to be in the premises, and we did receive that from Hannah, and that's included in your application, so.
Okay.
I would ask Stanley Zizlis and Igor Kamener to come up and address the board.
Are you going to call the fourth witness, Mr. Parietti?
Mr. Parietti is Hannah's husband. I think in the interest of time, it might be the similar testimony, just to save you all time. It's up to you.
Did a good enough job. She doesn't need him.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Stan Zislis.
Good evening. My name is Igor Kamener.
Basically, we're up here to answer any questions that you might have, and I've just created the economic impact sheet. I don't know if you're interested in that. If you are, I would gladly pass it on, and then I would walk you through it. These are the actual numbers. Some of them are actual numbers, some of them are projected numbers, but they're based on our statistics, and if you're interested, I'd like to address that. So since our inception in Littleton, since we started operations in Littleton, we've paid over $1.2 million in wages as a small business in Littleton.
I'm sorry, how much?
Over $1.2 million.
In wages?
In wages, as a Littleton-based business.
Over what period of time? Excuse me?
Since since November of 2009, since we opened.
November
So
2008.
in a little over than 3 years. We have paid, as an employer, over $100,000 in payroll taxes. The state has received $156,000 in state sales tax. The city has received $107,000 in sales tax. And the total licensure and fees and applications and registration fees are or close to 46,000. Now, this is obviously from the day we started, when business was slow, when there was a lot of turmoil in the business. Our business has been very stable financially and has been increasing over the last year. And the table on the bottom, the lower half, is actually a projection what this business will produce every 12 months on an annual basis, and it's based on actual numbers. It's based on the last 6 complete months of operation. So starting September 1st through February 28th, I just took the most recent 6 months for the ease of calculation, and I multiplied that by 2 because that would be fair. And our business has never decreased in the last 3 years. So according to our last 6 months figures, as a Littleton-based business, we would be paying close to $600,000 in salaries and wages, would be paying over $46,000 in payroll taxes. The state would collect over $70,000 in sales tax, and the city would collect over $50,000 in sales tax. And total application fees and licensing fees would top $24,000. And I think combined with our record in Littleton of no criminal activity, no complaints, good tenants, just good business, I think we should be.
It's been a good, solid, profitable business for you, I assume, to be
Yes.
able to pay all these fees? And
Yes.
You're happy with the business, that's why you want to stay?
Of course. And we want to continue serving the Littleton community. We believe we've been here since November of 2009. We're known in Littleton. We're known in the community. Patients know us. Other businesses know us. It's a good fit. Why not stay? The only reason we're really moving is to comply with the city ordinance. That's why we want to move to this location.
I have a question for you. Depending upon how Amendment 64 shakes out, do you plan on going into the recreational marijuana business?
I believe, that would be up to the city whether to allow it or not. If the city were to allow
But
it,
what are your plans? I mean,
our plans would be to stay on top of the game. If the other licensees are converting and this is our business livelihood, then yes. And actually, it's funny you should mention it, the Amendment 64 Task Force, they released their report today, and they're actually allowing for medical marijuana dispensaries and adult use retail stores to be operated out of the same facility, provided that they're separate egress, ingress, they're separate record keeping, they're run as 2 separate businesses. So if the city were to allow it, then yes, we would pursue it, but obviously it would be all done according to city ordinances and code and rules and regulations. So we fully intend to comply.
Okay.
I have a question. In your current location, I semi-frequently am a patron of a restaurant just to the north of you. And since you have opened, it's been my observation that you've had your windows with, it appears to be paper or soap or what, you cannot see into that facility. Is there a reason that you have that where the public cannot see in, the police cannot see in?
Yes, I can explain that. This was, once again, take into consideration, we opened in 2009 before any regulations, and this was all a very gray area for everybody, city, state, and business owners alike. So we thought it would be a good idea for privacy reasons. We didn't want general public looking into a private business and being able to witness transactions that are going on inside. As far as the law enforcement is concerned, we're required to keep recordings. The state has live access to our cameras. Cameras are pointed in certain directions. I mean, they can see every corner. There's not a square inch of the facility that is uncovered by video surveillance. So, but to go back to your question, this was just an idea that we had back in 2009. We thought that it would be beneficial to provide privacy, and at the same time, we wanted to have daylight. So this is why they're filmed, like they're frosted. It's frosty film, basically.
I will tell you that it is on record that I have been a medical marijuana patient. I have not had a card for over a year because with the treatment, there was no need. My pain went away, so I no longer needed to have a card, to not get another card. But I will tell you, my perspective going there and being a patient was one of it being clandestine with the windows covered in that manner. The other question I'd have for you is I don't see on the floor plan positioning of cameras. Also, I assume in your current facility, you have a ventilation system to modify the odor, et cetera. I don't see that in the current plans. Tell me about that.
Okay. The reason the floor plan is not specific, and I believe the floor plan is noted, actually noted it, that this is a preliminary floor plan. We didn't know if we were going to be approved or not at this hearing. So in order for us to involve an architect and a security company, in order for us to involve a security company, they need to have physical walls, physical doors up before they can create a plan for you. So this is, this hearing is a step for us. This is not final licensing, because assuming we're approved here, we still have to go through the building department, and at which point our architect will be involved. We will then finalize the floor plan. The floor plan will be submitted to the building department, and the building department and zoning will have a chance to verify that it's actually in reality 2,000 square feet and not more. The reason the sublease says approximately 2,000 square feet, it might be 1950, it might be 1920, depending on where final, walls fall, basically.
But 2,000 square feet maximum?
Maximum, yes, sir.
And would you submit that to the authority, too, once you finalize your plan?
Yes. We submitted that, I stated that in the operating plan. I believe at the very top paragraph, it says that the facility shall not exceed 2,000 square feet. When we applied for a sales tax license, part of sales tax licensing is obtaining zoning approval. We obtained zoning approval, and it's also noted on this application that the facility will not exceed 2,000 square feet. And so the final chance for the city to verify will be at build-out. So.
Question to the city attorney. Do we have does this authority have the legal authority to approve this license without knowing that they have met the legal requirements as far as security, ventilation, et cetera? Do we have the legal authority to go ahead and then approve that license?
Their application is complete, so the authority, or in the application, or in the agenda communication are the reasons that you could deny the application, and that would only be if the information contained in the application is found to be false, or the application fails to meet any of the standards, including a finding of good cause, and then there's the outline for good cause. So.
Could we approve it contingent on, I'm sorry, could we approve it contingent on them meeting the requirements as far as the drawings go and et cetera?
Well, what I would like to do is, if they submitted a preliminary floor plan, I would like to make it contingent upon the police department certifying they satisfy the security plan as required by the city.
Can we do that?
You want to have a condition on there that they will provide an updated security plan once
I want to make it that the police department will certify that they satisfy the requirements of the city security plan. I mean, the city requires certain things.
Well, they've provided you with the security plan, it's in their application.
Preliminary floor plan, they have not provided final floor plans. And all I'm looking at is, since we do not have final floor plans, that we can verify that they've satisfied all the security requirements. All I'm saying is, can we make it contingent that the police department would certify that they have met the city security plan requirements?
I have a comment.
Wait a minute.
Microphone.
Yeah, I can
Wait a minute, let the city respond.
Okay. So I guess what happens then is that it sounds like zoning and the police do a walkthrough once the space is built out? Once the space is built out to verify that it meets code. And if it didn't, then they would issue a presumed zoning violation.
So
I don't think it's necessary. What I'm saying is I don't think that it's necessary for you to put that condition on there, that there are those procedures in place for the city to verify that that's happening.
But they just verify code. They don't verify the security requirement for medical marijuana facility.
Is that a part of the code?
Part of the code.
I mean, that's part of the code, right?
Code.
So if you didn't have the proper security, you wouldn't be in compliance with city code. Is that correct?
And as I recall, when we opened up or authorized the 4 initial outlets, they were in a similar situation, and the city did verify with an inspection that they were in compliance.
There was a verification, but not a certification. Yes.
But that's, I mean, it sounds to me like we're all talking about the same thing. I mean,
Yeah,
it
but
sounds to me
it's
like
part of the process.
That's your answer. I honestly.
Okay.
And you probably know this, but at the end of the day, the Medical Marijuana Enforcement Division from the Department of Revenue has to license before they can ever open their door. They will absolutely ensure, it's part of their checklist, that the security
So the state
measures-
takes care of that.
So the state will be, in effect, what you're requesting your police department to do. You could certainly verify that. I can help you get you that information. But I do believe it's a valid concern, but the Med would address that, and certainly the Med would address that.
I think
That's their
that
checklist.
takes care of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm satisfied with that.
Could I ask, so as part of our packet, there's what looks like a draft resolution. Could you explain to me what?
So the motion you'll see is that the draft resolution be approved. And it's obviously a resolution approving the license. So I'm not sure.
Is it just, since I haven't approved.
Confuse you.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, since it looks different than when we would approve a liquor license, is it just different because it's a?
It's just different because the findings are different.
Okay.
For a liquor license versus a medical marijuana license.
Okay, so I guess my only other question was, it says now therefore be it resolved by the city council of the city of Littleton. Should that say the licensing authority? In the middle, there's 2 whereas clauses and then.
Yes, it should. I apologize.
No, that's fine. I think that's what threw me off most of all, so.
Yes.
Okay.
Since we're talking to the city, the proposed location has certain restrictions, being within so many feet of childcare facility and all that. Has that all been verified?
And I have Pam Hall here from Community Development to address those concerns.
Approximately October, I was approached by Hannah Mart to end up and see if the location they proposed would meet all of the buffering requirements. I went out and did a visual search. I also enlisted our GIS gentleman for the city to end up and include a radius for me. We have verified that the only church that is within right on the edge of 500 feet does not have a daycare facility in there. That's Mount Carmel. And all the other buffers, schools, correctional facilities, parks have all been met. The only thing that possibly maybe, and I checked with the state also, because the way our code reads is licensed childcare, and I am not aware of any childcare facilities. They possibly may be unlicensed, but I have checked with all buffers, and they do meet all zoning standards.
That one church that's 500 feet, is that as a crow flies or as a normal person would walk?
It is established, the distance is established through ordinance, and it's from one property line to their building, the closest property line measured to their building as the crow flies. And it's just, their parking lot is within it, however, the building is not. But I still checked with the church to see if they operated a daycare facility, and they do not.
Okay, it's just that for a liquor establishment, we recently changed the rules, well, not recently, but a few years ago, that it's 300 feet as a normal person would walk.
But
That means if you have to cross the street, that's another 40 feet tacked onto the distance.
The ordinance set up for medical marijuana is different, and
That's the crow
it
fly.
has its
Okay.
measurements established inside the ordinance.
But it's still within range anyway.
They set it up that way, I believe, because as a crow fly is actually more restrictive than the walking.
Yeah, it's a shorter line.
Well, Mr. Chairman, it seems like they've met every requirement we've asked, so.
I would,
It appears as though they have met all requirements. It appears as though they have operated a good, clean facility. Past how many months, years. I see no reason not to cut off discussion and go on and have a motion and move forward.
So I guess I do have one question, though, that if we license this new property, will you shut down the old property until you move?
No. I will get this property built out, I will get it inspected, I will get it licensed, and the day that license, because on the state level, the way our license getting transferred, with the city it's being treated as a new license. On the state level it's being treated as a transfer. So I have to keep operating that facility, because if we're shut down for longer than 30 days, we'll lose our license. So we are pending licensee with the state. They're fully aware. They're waiting for this decision for us to formally file our paperwork. We cannot be shut down for more than 30 days, and quite honestly for business purposes as well. But we will not be at any given time. There will not ever be a time when the two facilities will operate even a minute.
No, I understand that. Counselor, is that correct, that they'll, if they don't operate within 30 days, the state removes their license?
I don't know. Perhaps Mr. Hoban knows.
It's a state requirement.
Yeah, Mr. Gallagher, that is
no,
a state.
we're concerned about the city, and we know that you're operating in the city without a city license now, and you'll continue to do that until you move into the new location.
If we approve this.
I understand,
In
but
which case you will then have a license.
right, but with all due respect, we're not really operating. Yeah, we're operating without a license, but we're operating in accordance with the court order. So we're not just,
I understand
Wild West out there just doing whatever we want. It's all legal.
We cannot get wrapped up in the current operations. We can only address the fact that they're applying for a new license at a new location. And that is what we are reviewing, and we approve or disapprove it.
I don't think the old location has anything to do with our findings.
I'm just asking a question, that's all.
With the old location, our findings with the new location, I don't see a problem. I'm ready to hear a motion.
Before we get to a motion, I'd ask that you admit this handout as Exhibit G, just so we have a complete record.
I'll move that we admit the financial snapshot worksheet that they provided tonight as Exhibit G.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the other thing I will add is that I did note that the proposed motion and resolution do require approval by the Colorado Medical Marijuana Enforcement Division as one of their requirements that's tied to your findings to address your concerns about the security plan.
Where is it? Okay, I shall make a motion that the public hearing be closed and a resolution of the Littleton License Authority be approved, which grants INS LLC doing business as Canamart, 1086 West Littleton Boulevard, Littleton, Colorado, a medical marijuana center license contingent upon receipt and approval of reports from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. I'm reading the right one. Nope. Sorry, and approval by the Colorado Medical Marijuana Enforcement Division, and based upon the following findings of fact. 1, that notice of the hearing was properly posted and published. 2, the application is complete and signed by the applicant. 3, the applicant has paid the application fee and any other fees required. 4, the application does not contain a material falsehood or misrepresentation. 5, the application complies with all of the requirements of Title III, Chapter 20. 6, the applicant, any person with an ownership interest of 5% or greater, or any manager have not previously been convicted of a felony violation. And 7, the proposed location of the medical marijuana center is permitted in that the building is not located within any distance restrictions established by city code.
I second the motion. Any discussion? City Clerk, would you poll the authority?
Authority Member Bradish?
Yes.
Authority Member Gunya?
Yes.
Authority Member Odell?
Yes.
Authority Member Cole?
Yes.
Authority Member Mather?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion is carried. Gentlemen, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the good job of putting this presentation together. There was a lot
Thank
of
you very
work
much.
went into that.
Thank you.
Thank you all, members. Appreciate it.
Next item of business is item number 17, titled General Business, discussion of the petition process. And I would like to ask the city clerk to conduct this portion of the session.
What you have before you is a proposed packet that we can offer to applicants if they choose not to hire a petitioning service to conduct their petitions. We have never offered one in the past, but my issue with that is by not doing so, we're setting them up to fail in that petition process if they opt not to hire someone. And for some of our smaller businesses, it's extremely cost prohibitive for them to hire someone like Esquire or Oedipus to do their service. And so what I've done is I've gleaned information from other local jurisdictions, as well as some of our regular petitioning services, and presenting that to you so that we can kind of have a discussion, some input, and maybe come up with something that will help guide our licensees, our applicants, if they choose to do the process themselves.
2 comments. Number 1, why wouldn't we make this a general city guideline for all applicants, whether they do it themselves or they hire somebody? Why not make that, this is a city guideline?
We certainly could do that. We haven't really, we've worked with the same companies for so long, and their findings have been satisfactory. So we aren't looking to change what's already happening. We're just looking to provide something that will glean a similar result that would be satisfactory to the board, to the authority, for those applicants who opt not to go through another entity.
Well, we heard from the person today that they have many different forms they use depending on what the different cities want. So
Correct.
I don't think that would be a problem, and I think it would be beneficial to the board to have one standard that they see rather than different ones. And I don't see any reason not to make it a guideline for everybody.
Yeah, I would agree. This is the first time I've looked at it. I just had a question, Colleen. I noticed on here you had a minimum of 200 signatures. And I think tonight we didn't even have 200 signatures.
Right, and I think that's a number that Bill and I just kind of
Picked.
pulled out of the air. That was actually taken from another jurisdiction.
You might want to go with the number of door knocks.
Right, and that's,
Because you're not going to get all the people that you knock
right,
on the door.
and that's why we're having this
Well, we just
discussion right
approved
now.
a petition tonight with
197.
Right.
Yeah.
signatures. I
Right.
think what you and I were looking for, Colleen, was a minimum for them to do to get this. And I think Tony's absolutely right. A minimum of door knocks. And we would hope that that would lead to somewhere around 200, which to
Absolutely.
me is a pretty good number of people to sign a petition for
Absolutely.
something like this.
And the second thing I would propose is, rather than try to discuss it and comment on it here, that you permit us to take it home, and if you want us to email you comments in a week or 2 weeks or
I would
whatever.
love for you to email me suggestions, comments, anything that would make it a viable
The only
tool.
thing that I could see was on this petition tonight was the scribbles. Because, I mean, my autograph is really horrible. But to have a place where they can print their name.
Oh, I agree. I made some different comments on it here.
But I mean, what else would we want? Just their name, their address, whether they approve or oppose or don't care?
Rather than try and sit here and make all the comments, for example, does each one have to carry a map showing the boundaries? Does it state in here that everybody that signs it has to certify?
Well, it is stated that the boundaries are picked by us. We
And
agree on the
right,
boundaries.
and after
you give
that-
them a map, right?
Yeah, and traditionally what happens, the circulator, who is the person conducting that part of the neighborhood, has a map with them that needs to be affixed to the signature sheets to prove that those addresses are within the defined boundaries. There's a circulator affidavit with the circulator's name, whoever that might be, and that has to be notarized. And that's standard amongst pretty much all the jurisdictions and all the companies that provide this service.
I'm not arguing with that requirement. All I'm saying is there are a lot of things like that we need to read this and look and see if they're included in here. And rather than
Well,
sit here
what I would
rather than
ask you
sit here and do it for the next half hour, I'd rather take it home.
Well, as far as I can see, what else is there? You print your name, you sign your name, you put your address
Well,
down, yes,
what
no,
I-
maybe.
It's a deal.
Boom.
When you carry the
End of
clipboard,
story.
there's a requirement to carry a map.
Okay.
Okay, what I would
I
ask,
see your point.
Right.
Let's don't talk about it here.
what I would ask is
Because
that.
I'm out of here anyways.
Talk
Doesn't
about it,
matter to
yes.
me.
What I would ask is that the authority take this home, look at it, email me
Taking this
suggestions about each page, and about the instructions, about the cover page, and any input that you have would be greatly appreciated. Kristen, do you want to be included in that, or do you want me to compile everything and send it to me?
My workload, give him my workload.
Just send it to
What
me.
my goal is with this, we don't want to make that big of a deal out of it.
It's not that hard.
This is, in all the years I've been on the authority, this is the first time someone's made this attempt, other than the Safeway opposition people.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen a lot because it's a lot of work and people are not going to want to do it. So I'd like to keep it simple. These are guidelines. If you want to do it, here's your best chance of success.
And I agree, and I think what we should be giving them is examples versus,
Rules. I agree.
and so we need to look at it in that vein, but I just think that we're remiss in our responsibilities to our prospective business owners here and licensees if we're not giving them every chance to succeed.
I'm kind of curious as how this come up, because you were mentioning that a number of smaller businesses find it cost prohibitive or a real strain.
We
Were there
have-
people, businesses complaining about this?
No, we have an applicant currently who was provided with information for petition services and was provided their boundaries and all of those things, and they opted to do it themselves, but without any guidelines. What we ended up with was 5 pieces of ruled paper with random signatures that weren't within the boundaries at all. Businesses had been walked into, and every single person in the business signed the petition, not just the owner-manager. There was no verification of who had conducted each petition sheet. There was no verification that ages had been checked. And there were less than 100 signatures overall. And of those, I don't have the exact numbers, but I think there were about 30 or 40% that were outside the designated boundaries. And so because of that, and because this person is a small business and they're getting into a business with very little cash laid out, which I think is a fabulous thing. They're being smart about it. I think for businesses like him and like others, it's important that we at least have something in place instead of saying, yes, you can do it yourself, but you have to figure that out on your own.
Well, in this case, the consequence to that licensee was 30 additional days before
He's
they'll have
postponed
their
until the next
license.
hearing.
Well, I think this is a great idea. Don't misunderstand me. My only comment is, it's Tony may say it's just signature, but I got 5 pages here of written things in front of me, and I'd much rather take it home and review it
Absolutely.
over a drink than I would sit here for half an hour or so. reviewing
I don't know, it just doesn't seem like rocket science to me.
So is
Well-
I would like to set a date for this, provide comments back to you by.
If we could have comments back to me by the 28th, that way we can compile something and have it on the agenda next month just to review. Are we okay with that?
Makes sense to me. Thank you.
I would appreciate everybody's consideration of this and input to the process.
I think it's a good idea. I don't disagree with you.
I think it's a terrific idea.
I also, before we go, would like to thank Tony Gallagher for not only his service on the authority this time, but in years past, he's made a great contribution to the community, very knowledgeable, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Donovan, and thank everybody
Thank you,
else,
Tony.
too.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
I have one other issue I'd like to bring up, and that involves medical marijuana centers. Right now, the way it is established is we have 4.
Correct.
If one comes open, I believe there should be an announcement in the paper for 30 days or something to advertise to people that it's open, so anybody that wants to has an opportunity to apply for it, rather than one came open and nobody knows about it, so it's whoever has the knowledge gets the license. I think there should be an announcement for, I don't know, I say 30 days or so in the newspaper that says, hey, we have 4 facilities, we have an opening for one.
That's interesting, because if I wanted to open a shop, I wouldn't know anything about it.
Yeah, and I think we owe it to the community to advertise that there is an opening so they're aware of it.
I think that's a valid point. I think, I don't know if that's a city council matter or if that's
Probably.
a city administration
Yeah, I
matter,
think it would-
but that's a really good idea because it could really cause some hard feelings in the future.
Yeah, and
It may as a result of this one even.
And I would like to see city attorney carry it to the city council.
Yeah, I'll be happy to pass it on to the city manager to pass that information along to city council.
Thank you.
Thanks, Earl. I think that's a real good
Unless somebody
point.
disagrees with it.
No, I agree totally. I mean, just in the instance of fair play, that it's only fair that if that license comes open, that it should be available.
It's not like any other business in this
No,
city.
it's totally
Because it's
different. I
limited
mean, it's-
to only 4, and
You guys had it the first 4, and then this is the second time we've had any issues with it. So we're still neophytes as far as this goes.
well, and we still don't know what's, well, there's too many. Let's
Yeah,
end
we don't
the
know about
discussion
that.
right now, and I will adjourn the meeting. This meeting is adjourned.
All right.
Second that.
Turn the mic off.